Wow.
Nice to see your face.
What a day. What a crowd.
There you go.
Are you fired up? Is there anyone here from the coast who's fired up? Anyone from Eastern Oregon fired up? Southern Oregon, you fired up? I saved the valley for last. Hey, southern end of the valley, anyone here fired up? Portland, represent. Anyone here who works in Salem? You fired up? Well, I think Oregon's united. We're united because of the message I see on a lot of shirts and a lot of stickers. We can't wait. We're done with waiting. Because we tried it, and waiting doesn't work. We're waiting. We're done. We're ready to take action. We're ready to take action because our kids deserve better. We're ready because our families deserve better. We're ready because seniors deserve better. We're not going to continue with the third largest class sizes in the country. We're not going to continue with thousands of people going without health care or child care. So we're here to take action, and we're going to take some actions today. And the very first action we're going to take today, we're going to take right now. We're going to pull out our phones. Please pull out your phones. Go to the text app on your phone. And if you can see this sign right here, this is what we're going to do. You're going to text to 72000. That's 72000. 3 zeros. And what you're going to text is Invest Oregon. No space. Invest Oregon. In a few minutes, you're going to get a message telling you how to contact your legislature, which is what we need you to do after this action today, to let your legislature know what needs to be done. That's 72000. Please text Invest Oregon, no space. My name is Steve Demarest, and I'm president of SEU 503. I'm proud to represent workers and their families in this state. I'm even prouder to be a parent. I had a child born in 1988, and my second one was born in 1990. So they entered school shortly after the property tax measures that got passed in Oregon. And getting them through school became a race against dwindling resources. Every couple of years, we'd hope the legislature would do something about school funding, but it didn't happen. And then one of my children went to the University of Oregon, one of our state universities. And fortunately for me and for her, we were able to afford that. But I'm really concerned about kids that came after her, and the fact that kids are getting priced out of higher education. And as my kids were growing up, I had a good job with good benefits, but part of my job was to hear the stories of people who needed health care or care of some sort. Or worse, their children needed health care and they couldn't get it. It ripped my heart out, and I couldn't imagine not being able to provide my children with the health care, the basic health care they were seeking for their kids and for themselves. So, we've had enough. Let me tell you what's going on right now in the building right here in this building.
Anything going on?
We came out of the last election with high hopes. Because after the Measure 97 campaign, everyone in this state realized businesses weren't paying their fair share. Even businesses had to acknowledge they weren't paying their fair share. And so what did they say during the election and after the election? We'll come to the table. We don't like Measure 97, but we'll come to the table and we'll talk about additional revenue for this state. Well, we found out what Wayne got us last week when the Business Association appeared before a committee in that building and revealed their plan. And I say plan in quote marks, because there was no plan for revenue. There was just platitudes and empty rhetoric. They made it clear that they want to see a budget balanced on the backs of working people. Balanced on the backs of working people through cuts to retirement plans, cuts to health care, layoffs in our public schools and universities, and cuts to services to seniors and people with disabilities. So we can't wait. So another action you can take today is you can make sure that you sign some of the initiative petitions for initiatives you may have heard about that we filed last week. Initiatives for corporate tax transparency, initiatives for corporate revenue to fund education and services. So find the table or find a person with a clipboard and sign those petitions. So we haven't given up. We haven't given up on Salem getting something done this session. And that's why we're here today. Because again, we can't wait. Do you agree with me? Then I'm going to shout out, and if you agree with me, I want to hear a can't wait. I want to hear a can't wait so loud that they hear it and they know it in that building. Kids!
Can't wait! Can't wait!
Seniors!
Can't wait!
Families!
Can't wait!
Oregonians!
Can't wait!
All right. We got a great lineup of speakers today, and first is an organizer, a minister, and a musician. He's an Oregonian who's passionate about families. He's passionate about community. He's the executive director of the Asian Pacific American Network of Oregon, Joseph Santos Lyon.
Thank you, Steve. It is so good to be here with you today, to be with all of you, with all of our hearts, to move this great state of Oregon to center the needs of the communities that are most affected. Will you join me in a brief affirmation? Will you say with me, it is good.
It is good!
It is good to be here.
It is good to be here!
It is good to be here together.
It is good to be here together!
Amen.
Amen!
In your heart and your soul, are you clear? Are you as clear as the blue skies that we love here in Oregon that it is time for the Oregon legislature to pass revenue reform to invest in our schools?
Yes!
In our health care?
Yes!
In our seniors?
Yes!
Well, I am too. And it is so powerful that Oregonians from every corner of this state are here at the Capitol taking a visible stand. And I know that there are thousands others who could not be with us today. Will you turn to your neighbor and just give them a high five and say, thanks for being here? So I have no doubt that our state budget is a moral document, right? A moral document that reflects our core values about who benefits and how we share responsibility. And it is time that the Oregon budget better reflects the ideal that we are only as strong as our most vulnerable residents. And it's time for corporations to join us hardworking Oregonians, to invest in the communities in which they profit. So we are counting on the legislature to deliver. And in these troubling times, it is more important than ever. I know everyone gathered here cares deeply about our communities, and we need more Oregonians to take action to interrupt hate and stand for love. Our communities, in particular Muslim communities, communities of color, immigrants and refugees, LGBTQ communities are experiencing an intensification of hate incidents, school bullying, and threats of violence. and we're not going to take it, right? So I want to take a moment of silence to acknowledge this intensification and to also acknowledge the tragic attacks that targeted 2 young women of color, one of whom identified as Muslim, and took the lives of 2 men who defended them and seriously wounded another. We hold these persons and their families and all those who are being harmed. Join me for a moment of silence. May we be reminded of our fragile humility and the need to build institutions that function as systems of care, institutions that are focused on the inherent worth and dignity of all people. Amen.
Amen.
So with your help, we will achieve this shared vision and create an Oregon that works for all families. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's hear a can't wait for Oregonians who care. I'll shout it out. Oregonians who care. Can't wait! All right. Our next speaker is an educator who's passionate about education. And as president of the Oregon Education Association, she's carried that passion to our political leaders and to big business. Big business. Ugh. I witnessed this. I'm very proud to introduce Handa Vandering. Thank you.
Good afternoon. All right, how about SEIU for doing all this work? They can't wait. Before I get started, I want to call out and thank the representatives who are here with us today that are going to stand with us and vote the right way to make sure that we have a better Oregon. Representative Barker. Representative Hernandez. Representative McLean. Representative Solomon. Representative Alfonso Leon. Representative Sanchez. Representative Nose. Representative Marsh. Representative Linger. Representative Gorsuch. And Representative Kenny Geyer. With us. It's so great to be together with people who care and believe that we can build a better Oregon. We had great hopes at the beginning of this session that we would be here celebrating the fact that my paper didn't fall. The fact that we had finally addressed the budget issues that have plagued us for over 2 decades. But no, once again, we're here to take action. Are you ready to take action? Yes! Are you tired of waiting? Yes! So are we. We started a movement. We know that we can build the Oregon that we want for our students, our seniors, and everyday Oregonians. Let's let them know in this building why we're here. We are here because we are fed up. We are sick and tired of obstruction and inaction in Salem. We are fed up with corporate interests. They block every attempt to invest in Oregon. We are sick and tired of having the 3rd largest class size in the nation. As educators, we are heartbroken as we walk into our classrooms with 40 to 50 students, no librarians, no counselors, a nurse that's shared with 7,500 other students. In higher ed, let's talk about one of the highest tuitions in the nation. Can we do that? You know, adult action or inaction has consequences. Our legislature's inaction in addressing our state budget has, in allowing us to have one of the lowest corporate taxes in the nation, has devastated our schools and our public services.
Don't sell Oregon!
For decades, the adults in this building have had the power to make change, and they've denied our students and our seniors.
Shame!
Students like Alfonso, a 5th grader, walked in and testified, put his heart and soul on the line, and asked them please to help, and promised to give back. And they all sat there and thanked him and said how great it was that he was there. And then when the corporations came with their lobbyists and they said, you can't do this, they didn't do it. They put Alfonso on the sidelines. Enough. Alfonso and every student deserves better. Publicly, large corporations, big business in Oregon, has said they care about improving graduation rates, that they believe in a quality public education that's well-rounded. But when it comes to bringing solutions, there's not enough time. It is really difficult. As Dr. Martin Luther King said, the time is always right to do the right thing. And now, Oregon, it is time to do the right thing. The 44,000 members of the Oregon Education Association are not going to stop until we have the schools our students deserve. We're not going to stop, and you're going to be with us because we're with you. We filed 2 ballot initiatives last week, and when they pass, our students are going to have the resources and the schools that they need to succeed. If this legislature fails to do their job, we will take it back to the people. This most recent budget that they were just voting on, $8.2 billion will devastate our schools and our students. 8.2, it's just not enough. It's not going to allow us to do what we need to do. So what will happen is, once again, we'll have cut programs and cut days, but there will be no cuts in profits. Are you okay with that? No! Neither are we. We need legislators on the right and the left to hear us. This is not acceptable. This budget is not acceptable for public education in Oregon. But there's still time in this legislative session. For those who want to go home, I say no one leaves this building until we have a budget that provides a better Oregon for all. Do you think we can? It is our lawmakers' chief responsibility to provide a budget for Oregonians. It's time to act like adults. It's time to find solutions and stop quick fixes that bring us back here again. We've waited over 2 decades. We are sick and tired of political games being played with our students and our seniors. We are frustrated and angry, but we're not going to stop. We won't back down until every student in this state, no matter their zip code, the color of their skin, the language that they speak, they all have access to a quality public education. So I say to you, are you willing to wait? No! Would you tell them we can't wait? We can't wait! Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Hannah. I want to add someone to the list of legislators standing here with us today, Representative Julie Fahey. Thank you. Our next speaker has made a vocation out of advocating. She's advocated for equity for women. She's here as a parent advocate. I've witnessed her in action in a dark gym on a sunny Saturday afternoon at a budget town hall. She shows up. She's the founder of Fully Fund Oregon Schools, a grassroots parent group. Please welcome Sunny Pettit.
Hi everyone, it's so nice to see you all. My name is Sunny Pettit. I'm a parent of 3 kids in North Portland. When our principal brought us together in the school cafeteria to talk about budget cuts, we had a group of parents who just started crying. We all started crying, thinking about what the schools would look like, what we weren't able to invest in our schools for our kids. And it's about time that our leaders start to lead and make game-changing investments in our schools and services. This is their chief responsibility. Oregon families can't afford to wait any longer for strong schools and accessible health care. Our schools did not end up with the 3rd largest class sizes by accident. For nearly 3 decades, we've systematically disinvested in our schools and our services. We've laid off thousands of teachers, cut art, PE, music, career tech, and other core programs. We've watched our graduation rates tumble. And we can't continue to do this disservice to our students while corporations pay the lowest taxes in the country. It's why we won't back down until the legislature holds corporations accountable for their fair share. Oregon families are already shouldering the burden of funding our public services, and it's not right. The time for big business to step up is right now. The truth is, strong schools are good for the whole state, business included. Actually, Intel ended up moving to Oregon because we had such a stellar education system years ago. It's time to bring those businesses back to Oregon who want to be here because we have an amazing education system. A better educated workforce is a smart investment, and it's a moral obligation. We owe our kids the very best education that the state can provide. Legislators, we are urging you to step up and put Oregon kids first. It's time.
Let's get a can't wait for parents. Parents!
Can't wait!
All right, our next speaker is one of those university students we've been talking about. Only a freshman? I say only a freshman. She's already a leader, a member of the Oregon Student Association, and
Hi, my name is Imani, like you said, and I'm a part of the Oregon Students Association. So I really appreciate all y'all coming out today. If you've been following the news lately, you know that Oregon universities are bracing for another huge tuition hike. Students I know, including myself, are frustrated. We are literally pricing kids out of education. Students are drowning in debt. Personally, the lack of funding and support for higher education has imposed a huge financial burden on my family and I. I'm lucky enough that my parents would sacrifice their financial security for my siblings and I, but they shouldn't have to. I carry the weight of this with me every single day. When I decided to go to the University of Oregon, my dad and I were discussing costs, and he told me, don't feel bad about getting your education at a university. You earn your spot there. With tuition increases, I'm afraid of being priced out. Before being hired at my current job, I was afraid that time spent working would take away from time I could be spending studying, forming a professional network, and defining my career path, which I believe are all as valuable, if not more, than money.
That's true.
My fears were right. I work around 25 hours per week on top of other obligations in pursuit of personal and professional gains. So far, yeah, I'm doing it all, but at this rate, I'm going to burn out. I entered my freshman year with 44 credits, which knocked off a whole year. But for my sake, I will most likely have to prolong my path to graduation. More time equals more money. I'm the first in my family to attend university, and I'm a woman of color. I want to acknowledge that marginalized communities are already adversely impacted by existing conditions at our universities, resulting in low retention rates and graduation rates. Now there's even less keeping us there. We all deserve a quality education. It's too fundamental.
That's right.
At what point will our legislators finally agree that balancing the budget on the backs of college students and families is unfair?
Unfair.
When will they take action? I don't know about you, but I'm tired of waiting. It's time for action.
Let's get a can't wait for universities. Universities! Okay, next we have a couple of people.
We can't wait. We can't wait. We can't wait. We can't wait.
All right.
We can't wait. We can't wait.
We got a couple people who are in that group of people who step up for the thankless job of volunteering to serve on school district boards and then have to deal with inadequate revenues to give kids the education that they want them to give. So Kathy Way is a newly elected member of the North Clackamas School District. And Evangelina Sundgrens is a member of the Eugene 4J School Board.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kathy Way, and I'm a a recently elected member of the North Clackamas School Board. I ran for school board so that every student can get a quality education and a fair shot at success. Growing up, my grandfather always told me that education is the pathway to success. Education has transformed my life. I actually came to this country as an immigrant and started learning English in the 2nd grade. I'm the first in my family to graduate and go to college, and I remember my parents working 3 to 4 jobs to support us because they themselves did not have a formal education here. And for many students, getting an education and graduating means breaking out of the cycle of poverty, seeing their full potential, and contributing back to the greater community with our knowledge and skills. And if you believe in that, give yourselves a round of applause. I've focused my entire career on advocating for students and working families, and I've also mentored and coached high school students so they can graduate on time and find the right path. I've also worked alongside tireless teachers and counselors to best support refugee students who recently arrived from war-torn countries. And how many of you here are today who volunteer in the classrooms and in the community? Raise your hands. Awesome. Like many of you, I have been inside our classrooms working with our schools and doing our best to support students. But unfortunately, that is not enough. Our class sizes are among the largest in the nation, and every year it feels like we're facing even deeper cuts to programs like art, music, PE, and language.
Unacceptable!
Our students, families, and teachers need help, and that is why I'm here today as a newly elected school board member. I ran for school board to see positive changes in education. I did not run for school board to maintain the status quo in Oregon and witness devastating budget cuts. If we aren't willing to invest in our students properly, what sort of state are we? I want to thank the parents, community leadership, Alliance Group at North Clackamas for doing a lot of grassroots lobbying, as well as everybody here today for just showing up and making our voices heard. So thank you again. Let's call on our legislators to act and work alongside with community members to listen to us. And I'd also like to introduce you now to Evangelina Sungres, who did the Emerge Oregon program with me in 2013 and is also another proud woman of color stepping up to serve. Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me? Who is a teacher here, or a support staff at a university, or a school? So, as Kathy said, I'm Evangelina Sungren, and I'm a newly elected official from the 4J school district in Eugene. I was a teacher in the Peace Corps. I've worked in ABO classrooms, migrant education, and with the Upward Bound program when I was an undergrad. I ran for school board because I believe that public schools power the health and well-being of our communities. Public schools are the generators of our state's economic vitality. These are challenging times, and I know. I've served for 2 terms on my district's budget committee, and I'm the chair. These are, now more than ever, we must invest in our schools, and by doing so, we invest in our cities, our regions, our state. We invest in our people. What I have found in our district is we are encountering an incoming kindergarten class with a higher degree of trauma. What this means is that our already stretched thin teachers and support staff cannot provide the level of support and resources that they can be. When we cut our education system, we greatly limit the opportunities and the resources we can offer our students, especially our underrepresented youth, our homeless youth, and our families, and our communities. If we are ever to raise our graduation rates, we need more CTE classes, And I'd like to remind everyone here, when our students do graduate from high school, we in the state of Oregon have already shortchanged them a full year of education. So this is the Oregon Can't Wait rally, but it's actually the rally that our students can't wait. If we're unable to do right by our students, our children, our future, then what do we really believe in? So when you go out and visit your legislators, please ask them to support our students, support our teachers, support our unions. And you are part, your passion here, you are part of the solution. Don't let your passion and your momentum just go. Consider volunteering, consider going and running for your local city council, for your school board. Consider doing more in your community. We are the voices and we are the change. Thank you.
Let's hear it. Public schools. All right, now we're going to hear from some boots on the ground. She's a child welfare worker, member of SIU 503. Sasha Sergeyeva.
Hi everyone, my name is Sasha and I have been working for child welfare for DHS for a couple of years. And my job is to assess children's safety and help families to improve their life circumstances. Right now, child welfare is in crisis. We fail to provide stable, loving, and caring homes for our children. Instead, children spend nights in the hotel with caseworkers. And those workers, they go back to work on the next day. A hotel, this is not a home. It's not a home with a family. A hotel, this is not a place where children can start healing from trauma. There are at least 13 children in Multnomah County waiting for a home right now. This is unacceptable.
Unacceptable!
We don't have staff to recruit and retain existing foster families. They burn out fast and they leave the system. We can't pay for child care for our own children in our care, because we don't have funds. We even don't have enough caseworkers to preserve family connections and provide adequate visits between children, parents, and their siblings. If siblings get separated, they can get to see each other twice a month. This is not okay, and this is not a place to heal for children. Oregon's debt-less corporate tax has been short, impacting our children. The cuts considered for child welfare will devastate many families. It will devastate already underfunded program. We are a sinking boat, and with these cuts, we're going to go under the water. While corporations continue to skate by with the lowest tax in this country. Our leaders have a choice. They can invest in kids. They can invest in child welfare, the system that helps to protect kids. Or they can cut the services for us, and the kids will suffer. I think the choice is clear. We have to invest in child welfare. We have to invest in our future.
Okay, let's hear it. Vulnerable children. Okay, next we have another speaker who's combined her occupation and her advocacy into a calling. She's a family nurse practitioner. She's a member of the Oregon Nurses Association, Rachel Prusak.
Hello. My name is Rachel Prusak, and as mentioned, I'm a family nurse practitioner and a professional member of the Oregon Nurses Association. I work for the nonprofit medical practice House Call Providers, where I have the privilege of serving the most vulnerable among our elderly population. My patients are homebound, often suffering from complex medical conditions. Their life and livelihood relies on a healthcare clinician coming to their home. Oregon's state-funded insurance coverage affects the health outcomes of every patient I serve, because without it, they would not receive the preventative and palliative care they need, and would ultimately end up in the hospital. The interactions I share with my patient are not only about their physical health, but also their mental health. My patients know I will show up, and I am there for them, And you know what? That's the state I want to continue to live in. Our elderly should live in dignity. They should be able to count on me, to count on all of us. They should not suffer alone at home. The 1.4 billion budget deficit we face has been caused by our long, broken tax structure. And now our leaders have a choice. Kick hundreds of thousands of Oregonians, like my patients, off their health insurance, or ask corporations and hospitals to start paying their fair share. I think we all know the choice is clear. A budget is an expression of a state's values. So now our legislature has a responsibility to raise revenue this session and prioritize funding for Oregon Health Plan recipients. I hope Oregon residents and our business community and all of you will support them.
Ben.
Oregon can either be known for caring for its most vulnerable community members or for having one of the lowest corporate taxes in the United States. Today is the day Oregon must commit to preserving access to medical care for every member of our community. Thank you.
All right, the medical needy. Another shout out. Senator Brzezinski's here, standing with us. Thank you.
All right. You're on it, girl.
Next, a small business owner who's taken on big corporations and their avoidance of taxes, co-owner of O'Neill Electric in Portland, a member of Main Street Alliance, Maurice Ramey.
Hi, I'm Maurice Ramey, and I'd like to, as a member of Main Street Alliance and founded O'Neill Electric nearly 20 years ago, also a union contractor. We're proud to pay our fair share of taxes. This supports schools, vocational education, and the critical services that our state needs. As a successful business, we recognize that what we need is to support our communities, and this, excuse me, I'm not a public speaker, I apologize. Oregon values education. Oregon values our university systems. Oregon, we also have a broken tax system right now which cuts into our schools and our services. These threats hurt our education system, and it hurts our workforce and our economy. Continuing to balance the budget on the backs of working families and small businesses is not only not fair, but it's not sustainable. And I want to repeat that. Continuing to balance the budget on working families and small businesses is not sustainable, and it's not fair. This legislative session has to ensure that businesses all pay their fair share in taxes. All businesses, you're correct. $2 billion in revenue needs to be addressed in this biennium. If the legislators agree that they value education, smaller classroom sizes, affordable college tuition, then they'll recognize that what they're presenting is not acceptable.
Not acceptable. Not gonna happen.
We must create opportunities for the next generation of Oregonians. We need to support them. There is 5 weeks left in this session, but it is not too late for them to have meaningful change and do the right thing. Thank you.
Responsible business owners. All right, our next speaker, when he's not surfing and boogie boarding at Cannon Beach, is award-winning activist. He's the pastor of Augustana Lutheran Church in Portland. It's a multicultural congregation in the heart of the city. Reverend Mark Knutson.
And we're a sanctuary church where ICE cannot come in, no weapons are allowed. And since we're all children of God, we're all citizens of this state, whether we have the right documentation or not. So may we stand up to one another with 12 million who are fearful today. We stand together from all over the state, rural areas, small towns, cities, suburbs. We come from places where there's mountains and valleys and rivers and oceans and streams and deserts. We come from many beautiful ethnic and racial backgrounds. We are of various sexual orientations. We are young, we are old, we are women, we are men. We are so many and so beautifully created. That is the vision, and that is who we are as Oregon today, and that is pure gift. We are here today Muslim and Jew, Hindu and Buddhist, Sikh, Native American spiritual leaders, Christians and people of faith, and people of just plain goodwill. We're here to stand up and to speak out for the children and families of Oregon by calling our legislators to action right here, right now. Turn to your neighbor and say, "Aren't you beautiful?" And turn to another neighbor and say, "We can do this." We can do this. I'm going to ask my wife of 31 years tomorrow. Our anniversary is tomorrow. Tamara, stand with me. I stand with her when she speaks, and we've kind of done this together, marching for 30 plus years. Let me move forward quickly now. We have come together with a common cause and a common call for the common good. That we as a state approve immediately a package that makes significant investments in education and healthcare, children's services, housing, and keep going with that list. It is crisis time. The lack of funding in the state is not just a budgetary issue, it's a spiritual crisis, because when we become disconnected with one another, when we say our children are not the most important thing we can be about in this state, when we say barriers must come down, it's a spiritual crisis when we allow them to stand. We call upon corporations and big businesses to be held accountable to do their fair share. It is long overdue. It is long overdue. We want every child to be able to go from preschool to PhD if they wish. Today we hear a lot about the word economy, the concept, what is feasible, and often what is not. But you know, the word economy has biblical roots, theological roots. It speaks to how we use the abundant resources we've been given, not to make profits for ourselves, but that all may have life and have it abundantly. It is based on care for the household. Care for the household. And we know in a good household, nobody is suffering and goes without. But let me say today, the household of Oregon is in a crisis. It's in a mess. Because too many people are being forgotten. We know there's a lot of legislators who do the right thing, and today we're saying, do it. Let us not forget the state and federal budgets are indeed moral documents, for they speak to our values and our stewardship of the resources we have been entrusted with. Let us not forget that we are called to judge ourselves and the measure of the success of any society by how the most vulnerable, the poor, and the left out are doing, particularly our children, our youth, and our elders, and those who may be new to the land. Let us not forget that for Oregon to have a strong economy with family wages and opportunities to thrive for all of us in the household we call Oregon, we need a vibrant education system that is affordable and accessible for every Oregonian. Let us not forget that we have always valued our schools, universities, and community colleges. We have valued one another, and now we're called to say we really mean it. At the same time, it is common knowledge in Oregon that businesses and corporate taxes are among the lowest in the nation. The tax burden on individuals is high in order to offset our low corporate taxes. Decades of budget cuts have threatened our ability to deliver an excellent education system, housing, health care, and all for Oregonians. New investments beginning now are vital if we're to reduce class sizes, offer instruction days, use the resources we have so all can get the education and what they need. No one should go without health care, education, housing, and fair wages. Now let me close by saying, I was shaped by Oregon schools. I went to Glencoe Grade School in Portland, Oregon. I went to Franklin High School in Portland, Oregon. I went to the University of Oregon. I was in the DeCouve dormitory. And I could only have gone there and run a little track with Fontaine in those days if those who had gone before us had, like so many others, committed themselves to sacrifice for the well-being of the young in this state. To sacrifice and then to stand up politically to call for the right decisions, not taking into account personal cost or self-interest. Now we stand at the crossroads. Will we and our legislature have the courage to do what is needed by raising the corporate tax immediately as we strive to provide education for every child and all that every Oregonian needs?
Yes! Raise it! Raise the tax! We're gonna do
What does the Lord require us but to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with God and with one another? We are here to do justice and to see justice done in the halls of this Capitol. You know, the other day we had Reverend Jesse Jackson at the church. Got to spend 3 hours with him, with a group of faith leaders. And I'll never forget his Keep Hope Alive speech in 1988. One of the most powerful speeches calling for who we are, then and now. As I shook his hand about 8 times that day, I couldn't help but think of how he stood with Dr. King all those years. And one of my favorite quotes of Dr. King's is this: I have the audacity to believe that people everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their minds, and dignity, equality, and justice for their spirits. I believe that what self-centered people have torn down, other-centered people can build up. Do we have the audacity to believe that we're going to make a difference today? Do we have the audacity to believe that in this legislature they will do the right thing in the next couple of weeks? And pass the budget? Do we have the audacity to believe that corporations maybe will have a change of heart? Well, let's pray about it. And rather than block it, we'll come along and say, we owe it to this state to invest in our people. Do we have the audacity to believe that what is taking place today will make changes in this state for generations yet to come, that they may not curse us, but call us blessed? God bless each one of you, and keep on marching, keep on doing. Don't ever give up. We can't wait.
We can't wait! We can't wait! We can't wait! We can't wait!
All right. We who care about justice.
We can't wait!
Our last speaker is going to round us up and send us off to our next action. She's a mom. She's a social worker turned community activist. She's the co-founder and executive director of Family Forward Oregon. Please welcome Andrea Peluso.
Hello. Note to self, when they ask you to speak after a reverend, say no. As Steve said, my name is Andrea Peluso. I'm the Executive Director of Family Forward Oregon. And as an organization, we are very concerned about the economic security of Oregon's women and families. We're concerned about the ways that family caregiving is a barrier to economic stability for far too many of us. The budget proposals that we've seen this year do what happens nearly every single year. They seek to balance the budget on the backs of women and families. In a time of economic growth, our state is choosing not to invest more in the kinds of programs and supports that women and families need to thrive. Instead, they are making cuts to those programs that are already only serving a fraction of the people who need them. That means more women and families struggling to afford health care, housing, childcare, elder care, and so much more. This is not okay. As we've heard, a budget is a moral document. A budget says something about who we are and what we value, about how we're willing to come together to take care of each other. What does our budget say about us if it leaves more moms struggling to afford the basics? Struggling to provide for their family while also caring for them? Unable to afford the childcare that helps them work? What does our budget say about us when it cuts services to our elders, the things that our elders need to age with dignity? What does our budget say about us when it underfunds our schools, ensuring another generation of Oregonians experience too large class sizes and low graduation rates and too high tuition? What does our budget say about us when too many of our families, our moms, our kids, are left without health care? This is not the Oregon that we can be. No! This coalition, A Better Oregon, is the largest in state history, and it has been consistent and clear. We need game-changing investments that will make a difference in the lives of Oregon's families. For nearly 3 decades, Oregon has failed to invest in its students, in its mothers, in its seniors, in its families. As corporations have been allowed to pay the lowest taxes in our country. We have been waiting for far too long, and we cannot afford to wait any longer. Sadly, this is no longer just about Oregon's budget. With the cuts we expect from the federal government, it is more important than ever that the Oregon legislature show true leadership. We need them to create the kind of revenue plan that avoids devastating cuts to the supports we rely on and that invests in our families. Without real leadership, our state and federal budgets will create harmful impacts that we will feel for a generation. And all of this while our economy is growing, while corporations continue to pay one of the lowest tax rates in the country, and while the federal government contemplates tax cuts for the wealthiest. We are living in challenging times. That's why it's more important than ever that Oregon lead, that we demonstrate that a different way is possible, that we invest in our futures, that we invest in our families. So, let's tell the Oregon legislature today and every day until they pass a budget that reflects our values that we deserve better. Let's tell them that the next generation is relying on them to make the kinds of choices that will build a better future for all of us. Are you with me? Let's say it again. Are you with me?
Families! All right, everybody. You see those doors over here to my left? The doors to the Capitol, the doors to the legislatures. We're going to walk through those doors. Let's get inside and gather in the rotunda. We're going to send a message loud. See you in there. Thank you, everyone.
Started to get warm in the sun. I was washing the shade. Are we really leaving?
Oh man, I'm sick into the shade.
That was like a 10-degree drop.
I know, right?
So you know we can bring signs in.
Oh, did not know that. Thanks, Luke. Yeah, thank you.
I grab this sign and
okay.
I went over there and just drank water. You got a lot of time here. They just
Yeah. You're like a salmon.